I'm joined by another Adam. It's Adam Sweeney, and we are here to discuss the double header that we've had with West Ham. We've now got them again in the EFL Cup quarter-finals with a semi-final space at stake. It's a big one at Old Trafford. It could go to extra time and penalties. I'm hoping it's not. I don't want to be at Old Trafford all night. But Ad, looking forward to the game, firstly?
Yeah, I am. I'm actually, the thing is, though, I'm looking forward to games at Old Trafford a lot this season, which I've not done for a few seasons, you know. And I was talking to someone the other day about this, and this big kind of overreaction at the minute that, you know, United aren't doing too well, and we might not be in, you know, where we're supposed to be in the league table. You know, we're doing well in the cup so far. That's why we're in this position. But I'm enjoying turning up at Old Trafford. The results aren't quite there. The only frustration when leaving Old Trafford at the minute is the result. And I know results are important, but to be honest, it's more about entertainment, and we are getting a lot of that. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the game. I am.
I kind of get what you mean as well. Like last season, I remember a lot of times coming out, doing fan cams, speaking to people, even thinking myself that, I would just love a performance. Forget the result. I would just love a performance one of these weekends. And we actually have completely opposite this time around. We have the performances and no results. The performance against West Ham last time out wasn't amazing. It wasn't up there with the Arsenal-Burnley performances. But we did enough to win, in my opinion, and we just didn't get it. Partly, well, someone that's taken a lot of blame for us not getting results over the last couple of weeks is Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Now, should he be dropped or rested for these games, especially in like the EFL Cup, Europa League? And do you think he is under firing at the moment?
I mean, he is under firing, and he's not under firing all at the same time. I mean, you know, you look at his number of goals. He's still got 7 goals in the Premier League this season. There's only 2 players that have got more than him. I think Diego Costa and Aguero, something like that. You know, so he is scoring goals. But the thing that concerns me, well, there's 2 things that concern me with him. The first is that he's not hitting the target maybe when he should, or it's taking him a few attempts to really get going. And that's not the thing that we associate with him. And I think, you know, we need to be starting games well. And when we're getting chances early on, if we don't take them early on, that's why we find ourselves at 60, 70 minutes, you know, struggling and still levelling games or down in games. You know, the Stoke game was a prime example of that, where, you know, Pogba missed a few chances, but Zlatan did as well. And then Stoke, you know, find themselves well in the game, and it takes Martial to come on and do something, and we're still not in a strong position. So he's scoring goals, but he's not scoring clinically enough. And I think he's still got the lowest, sound a bit like Statman Dave, but he's not scoring enough of the chances that are still being presented. I think he's got the lowest return in terms of shots on target to number of shots of anyone in that kind of top 10. You know?
I think that was shown best this weekend when Paul Pogba got his first assist of the league season. And I mean, he has literally put so many chances on a plate for Zlatan Ibrahimovic and others this season. It hasn't been just Zlatan missing his chances, though, whilst he has missed a lot. I mean, Marcus Rashford missed a little... I was going to say a little bit of a chance. It was.
I do think missed. Yeah, well, I think missed is a strong term, mate. Do you know what? He should have done better. Of course, he should.
I think he missed that chance.
It was still a save. Yeah, it was a big chance, but it was still good keeping. This is the other thing, you know, and I know you've spoken about it a lot on Twitter. I have as well. That we've now had 3 man of the match goalkeeping performances in the last 4 Premier League games at Old Trafford. I mean, that kind of says it all. You wouldn't have found that last season. We weren't producing enough chances. So I think on the Zlatan thing, we just need to see him a little bit more clinical. And Rashford, Rashford should have done better. But Rashford's still a young lad, still working his way into the game. And he still gives you a workhorse performance. I don't see that from Zlatan. So if you're not going to see that, you know, we've got to see him putting away easier chances.
See, I tend to disagree a little bit in terms of Zlatan, because I do feel he still provides his all-round performances.
No assists in the Premier League.
I think assist stats are very... Statman Dave will kill me for saying this, but the thing is, stats can be misleading at times.
They can, but he's the only one. I know what you're saying, and to be honest, I'm not one normally to jump down the throats of people and throw stats at them, but he's the only one, I think, apart from... And okay, Aguero is a good exception to have, but again, in that like top 10 scorers in the Premier League this season, he's the only one who's not got an assist apart from Aguero. You know, I think you have to be... If you're not being clinical, that's fine. But I think if you're a striker, you have to be doing one or the other. And stats can be a bad bearing sometimes. You know, Pogba should have more assists, as you say. But if you're a striker and you're not doing either or enough of, then that's a problem for me.
Would you drop him or rest him for this game on Wednesday? And if he's not in the team, is that dropping or resting him?
I wouldn't have him in the team, put it that way. And I know we're going to talk about that in a bit. But you can play it how you want. You can say it's resting him. It is the cup, so it's the perfect opportunity to say that you're resting him. I think we've got a good enough squad. I said it in the preview for West Ham before, and I don't know what you think on this, but what's really exciting at the minute is that we've got options, and we have got options that of players that are playing well. You know, Rooney hasn't played his best, but he's playing better. Herrera's playing well. Mata's playing well. Mkhitaryan showed really good glimpses last week. So we've got options. There's no reason why any player should be not producing 100% and therefore be in the side week in, week out. And Zlatan kind of falls into that bracket for me. But I don't know what you think, because I know you've got a pretty strong opinion on this, actually.
I like Zlatan. I think he's performed very, like, my concern when he came to the club was that he's not going to be able to keep up with the pace of the Premier League, the speed, the physicality. He's too old, etc., etc. And I think it's been a case of the things I expected him to do well, i.e. finish his chances, he hasn't done. And everything else he seems okay with. He seems to be up to speed with everything. And when he drops deep and we have the two wide players, whether it's Rashford or Martial, Rashford and Lingard, going forward, I think we do look quite dangerous. And that's one way we can get Rashford and Martial running through the centre, which we need to do more of. But I'm happy he's signed. I'm happy he's staying for an extra year. But I do think we need to not play him as much in the likes of the EFL Cup or the Europa League. Why aren't we giving Martial, Rashford their chances to play as that number 9 position? Obviously, they haven't got the shirt number, unfortunately, for Martial. But
I agree. Yeah.
They need to play in that role. And I think while Zlatan's here, we should be playing them in that role now. Because what we don't want is in a year or two, Zlatan leaves, and then Rashford and Martial haven't played up front for 2 years.
Yeah, no, but I think you're absolutely right. I think there has to be, you have to phase him out now. You can't just, if you're going to bring in a Zlatan, he's a great quick fix, but it's a little bit like Robin van Persie. We brought him in, and okay, listen, he won us the title, but you find a void as soon as someone like that goes if you don't start phasing them out in the right way. And just because he's only joined the club doesn't mean you can't phase other players in and out at the same time as him. So I agree with you completely. I would rest him though for this game and take him out.
Controversial, or maybe not. I don't think it's controversial. But anyway, guys, get your comments in below on Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Should he be rested or dropped for the game against West Ham in the Cup? Let us know in the comments below. Moving on now to someone that has been in the headlines. Well, he's been in the headlines all his football career, but he's been in the headlines more so for the last couple of weeks. Jose Mourinho. Now, recently, there's been a lot of talk about him kicking the bottle and all that nonsense. Do you think he's showing signs of cracking up, losing it at Old Trafford, or are you happy with how things are? Well, are you like me, where you're kind of content and happy to sit back and let things play out?
I'm exactly the same as you in that respect, and I think I'm not going to defend Jose, but I'm also not going to jump on this bandwagon of thinking that he's cracking up. The reason I'm not going to defend him is because he does bring this on himself. He does go into press conferences and he does throw abuse at the media. He does make life difficult for them. So all that's going to happen is you're going to get that thrown back at any opportunity. So I don't feel sorry for him. I'm not going to defend him. However, I really don't have a problem with it. And I don't understand why a United fan would have a massive issue with it. I had more of an issue with Louis van Gaal last season, sat on the touchline with what looked like no enthusiasm whatsoever. I'm sure he did have it, but he didn't show it and it didn't come across. And when those big decisions go against you, which I think the Paul Pogba one was a big decision. I can see why the ref gave it as a dive, but I don't think it warranted a yellow card. I like seeing all he did was kick a bottle, right? Now the law may mean that he has to be charged for that by the FA, and so be it. I'm not going to get critical about that, but I'm not going to be critical of Jose Mourinho for kicking a bottle in anger on the touchline, and he's not cracking up. If you look at the football is so much better. I know you know that, I know that. Anyone that watches games on TV or at the ground knows that performances are so much better. And to think that he's cracking up, Mkhitaryan he's played a blinder with. He came back in last week, played really well. Mata he's played an absolute blinder with. Herrera has got the more passion in a player than I've seen for a very long time. Wayne Rooney is back. Let's not forget, he had a Wayne Rooney that was way out of form, was under pressure constantly, and he's managed to manage that situation and take him out of the side and bring him back in a better player as a sub. So you look at all these things, and you've got to say he's doing a great job. So cracking up for kicking a water bottle on the touchline, not for me, mate.
I remember a certain manager doing that, and he got an apology from the FA.
Arsene Wenger, absolutely.
So that's a bit of a strange one. It's funny that when Jose Mourinho does it, it makes headlines. Now, before Jose came to the club, I was one of those Manchester United fans that were like, is he gonna be respectful and be a proper Man United manager? And I've always been concerned about his history on the sidelines. But this is not something that is concerning me. No. This is not something that I am upset with. And this is something that has been blown completely out of proportion simply because it's Jose Mourinho on Manchester United. And I feel Jose Mourinho kicking that bottle, so what?
Agreed, yeah.
I feel like the FA, we saw this, it's been happening for a long time because I remember Gary Neville celebrating in front of the Liverpool fans. And we had the shirt on with the badge in the middle, so it was a very long time ago. Probably 10 years now, and they want players and managers to be like robots. Gary Neville said it, you want us to be like robots. And how can you take the passion out of the game like that? And I don't mean like a proper passion merchant like on these guys. This guy's got no passion, he's not playing well. I mean in terms of like emotion. Football there's a lot of emotion, whether you look on the stands, on the pitch. And for them to think our managers just have to accept decisions. Like, yes, you have to accept them, but you can also react to them. You may not agree with them. And I think it's just unfair for him to be singled out like that. But at the same time, like you said, he gives it. He's got to take it. But United will always get it more. People have been waiting for 20 odd years for United to fall down, just be this bad. And they're going to enjoy it while it lasts. And it won't last for long. I'm confident under Jose Mourinho. That's why when I see people saying, he's not being respectful of Manchester United's history and traditions and cultures. Mate, Fergie done a lot worse.
You know what I think it is, Mike? I just think we've seen Jose Mourinho now for a long time. He's not the new kid on the block. You know, Klopp is new in the Premier League. Conte is new in the Premier League. Pep's new in the Premier League. So, you know, they've got, it's all positive. You've seen, you know, it's like anything. As soon as you get comfortable with somebody and you've seen them, you know, you're not as interested by the things that they do. And I think that's all that's happening. That doesn't mean that it's still not as effective. And the only way of silencing that is results. And United are on an upward trajectory at the minute. Under him, he's doing great stuff on the pitch. He's shown a level of enthusiasm off it that we've not seen for a long time. You know, he's not cracking up. He's not going overboard. He brings it on himself still, but look, I'm not going to criticise a man for showing a little bit of passion on the touchline and getting involved in a way that we've not seen before. Fergie, as you say, did far worse. And the way that he silenced people was by picking up results and winning trophies. And that's the way that Jose Mourinho's got to do it as well.
I can't wait until he does, because he will. I'm pretty confident.
Yeah,
the people that compare this to him at Chelsea in his final season, you just got to say these are two completely different clubs. Chelsea, we are not run by a racist leader legend in the dressing room. We don't have Roman Abramovich fiddling around with the team. We might not have great owners in Malcolm Glazer and his family and all that stuff, but they don't fiddle with the football side of things. And I think Jose Mourinho makes all the decisions. He is the top man at the club. And I think because of that, you cannot compare it with Chelsea. But anyway, moving on from that, we had to discuss these two big topics about Jose and Zlatan, guys. We want you to get your comments in below. I want to know who is in your starting 11 for Wednesday's game.
Between the sticks, I'm going to bring in that man Romero again after last week. I thought he had a good game. You know, we were on the preview for the Premier League West Ham game, and Mohamed said that he didn't think De Gea has been great this season. I don't think he's been too bad, but I think Romero, I mean, it's a different point. But I certainly think that Romero came in and had a good performance last week. So, you know, I think he deserves a few more games. I think coming back in, give him a little bit of a run in the side as much as you can in cup games. And that man Valencia at right back is a stalwart again. He's coming back in the side. I just think the man is an absolute machine. He has not had one bad performance this season, and if he has, then you know it's been very rare. So he's back in the side for me. And then the centre backs, I think Jones needs to keep this running the side. I think he's never going to be a stalwart at that.
Is this the longest he's gone without getting injured?
Quite possibly. Well, there's a great
we need
stat.
Statman Dave for that.
Daley Blind has now wrapped up 101 games, something like that for United, and he's only been here a couple of years. Jones has managed 106 since 2011, so that tells you. But yeah, I'd have him in the side, but I'd bring in Blint alongside him, and I'd bring Shaw back into the side as well. He's not looked as good as he did last season before his leg break, but I think the only way to get him back up to speed is fitness and playing games. I think that's the only way you do it. And he is
West Ham on the weekend.
Yeah, I do. I don't think he was great last week actually against Feyenoord, but I agree. I still think we missed him. He's an outlet even if he's not playing too well. So that's my back four. And then obviously Pogba is out and he's suspended for this game. So Carrick back in central midfield.
No Basti.
No, I mean, do you know what? I wouldn't actually miss seeing him. I'd actually quite like seeing him in the game instead of Carrick if you want to rest Carrick. But it has to be one of those two. I don't think Schneiderlin's up to it. Part of me really does want to see Bastian. But then Carrick is absolutely bossing it at the minute when he comes in, and I think we do need that controlling player. I just think Bastian is a Pogba style player, albeit an older head. He likes to move forward. He likes to have a bit of freedom. I still don't think he's quite that controller that Carrick is, even though he's got this reputation. So I'd bring Carrick back into the side. I'd have that Spanish duo of Herrera and Mata in front, and then I'd bring in Martial and Mkhitaryan, the two wide players. I think Mkhitaryan needs a run of games. The cup games are a good opportunity for him to do that. And Martial, again, I think needs the same. Players don't get better or don't get rid of bad form without playing games. And Martial, we saw how good he was last season, and he's got a little bit of stick this season. Maybe his attitude's not right. I think the only way you do that, you lay them bare on the pitch. And if they don't put in the performances, then they get rightly criticised for them. If they do, then their form improves. I think that's the only way of out in a situation like that. So Martial and Mkhitaryan, and then I would bring in Wayne Rooney for Zlatan. I think Rooney's been playing fairly well. I'd give Rashford a rest. And I think Rooney deserves to play in some of these games. He's not been outstanding, but I think you have to give him the opportunities to put in some of the performances that he has. And I think he can drop deep just like Zlatan does. And if you've got Martial and Mkhitaryan, a little bit like Mkhitaryan did against Feyenoord, where he drifted in and he found himself into some great positions, I think Rooney can be that man again. So there's my 11, Mac. That's what I'm going with.
I'm liking it. I agree with resting Zlatan for Rooney. I want to see Mkhitaryan start as well. And I'm just in two minds about Valencia, though, because I think Valencia could be key against Everton on the weekend after West Ham. And I don't think this season has been really frustrating in the sense that Jose seems to play a stronger team in the Europa League than in the Premier League. And it's like, come on, man. And I know he likes this competition against, like in the League Cup. He likes to use it because there's a final in February, March. You get a trophy in the bag. It boosts your confidence for the rest of the season. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a Zlatan, Rooney, Mkhitaryan, a similar team to the one that played against Feyenoord. But I do like your team. And with Fellaini and Pogba out suspended, I wouldn't think it'd be a surprise if we did see Basti, even if it was off the bench. Not. What about the opposition? They're likely to make a lot of changes as well. But they are in dreadful form at the moment, despite their result against us. Do you think any shot could be on the cards?
Listen, it could be on the cards. You never know. They did it at Old Trafford and took a draw from us last season. We got a draw in the Premier League the other day. I can't see it because I think United are performing too well, but you just never know at the moment. We're still not quite picking up the results despite the performances. I think we have to cut out we have to cut out starting slow. And that Payet is always going to be a problem. Antonio is always going to be a problem. I thought Noble had a great game, and if he plays again, which he might not do if he's rested, then Fellaini came on, and Noble absolutely bossed him in the 10 minutes that Fellaini was on the pitch. I mean, he ran rings around him, and we can't have that. But that said, I still think United are going to get the win, and we're going to go through. I think we're playing a little bit too well at the moment, not to win a cup game at least, especially given that we're going to find a result.
I do think West Ham will rest a few players as well. I think Ashley Fletcher's going to start, and I've really got a bad feeling about him against us.
Played well, didn't he? He's played well on Sunday.
He looks good when he plays for them as well. I genuinely don't know why he doesn't play more for them. Every time I've seen him play 4 or 5 times this season for them, and he's always looked like he does the right things. I think the most of the United players that come through the academy do the right things in terms of passing and moving, but he is a talented player as well. So I think he'll start. I'm hoping he doesn't have a dream night at Old Trafford. And I remember in 2000, in a different cup competition, when Di Canio ran through and knocked us out. I was like 10. I could have cried then. It was when we hardly ever saw United lose at home.
But they've not got a Di Canio now, have they? Though, you know, even, yeah, maybe. But I think I just don't think he puts in the effort. I think he's got the ability. I just don't think he's not willing to track back. And if you play United, who are willing, you know, when they've got confidence, West Ham is great. Yeah,
you know what you're doing here, aren't you?
What am I doing? Go on.
You're digging your own grave.
Oh yeah, I know. But do you know what?
You're going to make it so Payet wins.
Do you know what? We can't be.
And Romero puts his hand up.
The only reason, right, that you dig your own grave is if you're not Manchester United and you're not good enough. We've dug our own graves the past 3 years because we've not been good enough, right? And it's time that actually we make bold statements. And there's a bold statement that United are going to win this game. They're not going to lose to West Ham in the cup, and Payet isn't going to do a Di Canio on us. Now, do you know what? If I have to jump in a grave after that, then fine. But I want to be a United fan who makes bold statements, mate. I'm not going to shy away.
Come on! I'm having that then. Right, score prediction.
2-0. I went with that for the Premier League game. I'm going with it again.
Right, after Adam's rousing speech towards the end, it was like any given Sunday. I'm going to go with 10-0 to Manchester United, guys.
Bold that. Bold.
It's just a bit optimistic. I'm thinking...
10-1. 10-1, you thinking?
I'm scared of extra time because it's freezing these nights. 2-1 United in normal time. Fingers crossed. Manchester United, by the way. Guys, thank you, Ad, for joining us today. Sorry I was late yet again. I'm always late. I'm never on time.
Close rinsed on Twitter. That's what was going to
happen. Yeah, thanks for joining us, Ad. Make sure you follow him on Twitter. His handle will be somewhere on the screen. Make sure you check out Full Time Devils as well. At the game, we will be live on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff, Snapchat as well. So make sure you check that out. Get your comments in below, your predictions, your predicted lineups. Can West Ham beat us in the cup? Or will United go through to the semi-finals where we got potential ties with Liverpool, Leeds, Arsenal? It's so interesting this season. Get your comments in below. Subscribe, like, share. We're out of here.